My parents both tested positive at the beginning of November last year, and it was a really, really scary time for the whole family. Dad's saturation levels, his oxygen saturation levels were okay, so the paramedics that had come round on the Sunday didn't want to admit him. But he then went downhill very quickly on the Monday night. So Mum ended up calling paramedics again on the Tuesday morning, where they agreed that it was best they took him off to hospital. So they left Mum at home with COVID. His condition deteriorated. I was self-isolating in my room away from my family, as was my brother. So we were all very separate and all worrying very much about my dad, who was in intensive care, and my mother, who was home alone with COVID. The virus was making him very confused and delirium kind of set in. At that point, he was on what they call a high flow oxygen mask, I think it is. He had no appetite, he was losing weight drastically. After several days, the consultant phoned my mum and said they felt the best course of action for him was to pop him off to sleep for a while and put the tube down his throat. Things looked pretty bleak. So we were very scared and frightened, especially because with the COVID restrictions, none of us were allowed into hospital to see him. On the Wednesday, the consultant phoned Mum and said, you need to be prepared to come in and basically say your goodbyes. The consultant rang again to my mum and said, actually, he's rallied significantly overnight. We're going to take the tube out. Once Dad started to kind of rally and breathe for himself and his saturation levels started to come back up, they put him on an exercise bike in intensive care because he'd lost so much tone in his legs because he basically hadn't walked for a month. He was so pleased to be able to go home to his own bed and be in his own familiar surroundings. So you think it will never happen to you, and as a family we've all been so cautious. Yeah, we have a family story with a happy ending, but it's so easy to see how that could have been so different and how so many other families are experiencing the opposite of that and have gone through everything we went through, only without the discharge at the end of the happy, smiling family member, and they've had a different outcome.